We're live now. Good evening, everyone. This is Pris Wood with No Ordinary Huddle. I have some members of my Facebook group, National Football Lovers. I'm going to go through and let them introduce themselves. Tonight, we're talking to Cowboys fans and Eagles fans. So we'll start with Rob. We'll go Rob, Chuck, and Arthur. Tell us your name and your team.
Well, my name is Robert Hawes. I'm currently living in Atlanta. I'm originally from Philadelphia, and I'm a diehard Eagles fan. I bleed green, period.
Yes. And I'm
Go
Chuck
ahead, CK.
Pierce, born in Chester, PA, right outside of Philly, and love the Eagles.
I'm
Always in.
Arthur. Oh, go ahead.
I'm done.
Short and sweet. That's all we need. Short and sweet.
Hmm.
I'm Arthur Gay, living in Marietta, Georgia. Diehard Dallas Cowboys fan ever since I was a child.
Okay, once again, everyone, this is Pris Wood. These are members of my football group on Facebook, National Football Lovers. It's basically just another venue for my fans to get together, my members to get together and talk about their teams. Tonight, we're talking about the supposed rivalry between the one-star team and the Birds. Basically, the easiest way to easiest way to sum it up. I know they don't like it, but I mean that's the easiest way to explain them. So we're gonna go through and ask them when was their first game they ever saw, because we need to see the background of this, and then we can get to the rivalry. So then we're gonna go in reverse. Arthur, what was the first game you ever saw? This is like either on television or in person.
Well, since I live in Atlanta, the first game I ever saw was between the Atlanta Falcons and the San Francisco 49ers. This was pretty much during the 80s when the 49ers clobbered the Falcons, and we could never, ever get CBS at the time or Fox later on to switch games because it was always a blowout. Ironically, the first game that I saw live was in 2000 between the Cowboys and the Eagles, the upstart Eagles, with Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb, and they blew us out the frame. Me and my fiance at the time and my baby, we left at the third quarter because it was such a blowout.
What about you, Rob? Rob, what was the first game you ever saw? Did he freeze up? Chuck, what about you?
Um, I saw a live game at Franklin Field
Hmm.
back probably around 68, 69, 70. When I was like 7, 8 years old. My uncle and my dad took me. And I didn't know much about football at the time. I think Ron Jaworski was a quarterback or maybe somebody before him. But all I remember is after the game, because the Eagles lost, I remember us trying to get the car out of the parking lot and people honking horns, people running into each other, people getting out, fist fighting. That, that's my
Already then, huh?
takeaway. That's Philadelphia football. But
What
yeah,
ab-
that was my first game that I saw.
what about you, Rob?
My very first game I watched the full game through was 1980 Raiders against the Eagles, and Eagles won that game and then lost to the Raiders in the Super Bowl.
And I love that. I love hearing that. So EG says, Arthur, you should be ashamed of yourself, ashamed and appalled of yourself. Now he went out for a minute. Let me add him back in. There we go. He's like refreshing. He said, you should be ashamed of yourself for supporting the Falcons. I tried to explain to him that basically that was the first game you saw, but I kind of believe you probably did the switch up and went to the Dallas Cowboys after the Falcons.
Now,
So
why would I do that?
that's what I'm trying to find out. That's what I'm trying to find out. So, so have you guys always liked your team, or did you start with one team and then go to the Eagles? So now we're gonna go. We're gonna go Chuck, Rob, and then Arthur.
I'm sorry,
Uh,
I cut out, so I didn't hear the last part. I guess
I
my
said we're
internet's
trying to
bad.
find out because Arthur sounds a little suspect here to where he mentioned the Falcons as his first game. So
All
what we're
right.
trying to, you know what
No,
I'm
I
saying?
did not.
No, yes you did.
I said the first game that I watched because they're in the area. So I mean,
Yeah,
naturally,
what had
they're
happened
gonna
was
televise it.
right. What had happened was so what we're trying to get to the nitty gritty is if he's always been a Dallas fan or if he did the switch top. So tell us,
Well,
have you always been the Eagles? We're gonna go Rob, CP, or Chuck, and then Arthur.
I've always been an Eagles fan. It's not, no wavering, no other team. I haven't lived anywhere. I hadn't lived anywhere else. I'm from Philadelphia, so I spent my formative years there, and I always been an Eagles fan. No other team.
What about you, Chuck?
Pretty much the same thing. Always been an Eagles fan. But I got to admit, back in the 90s, when it was coming down, like every year, seen between the 49ers and the Cowboys for the NFC championship, I was pulling for those 49ers big time, obviously.
Yes, sir. I
Because
agree. Same here.
I
Same
don't
here.
like Dallas. I'm sorry.
Sucks to be you.
Same here.
Hey, that was way back in the past, man. So, yeah, but diehard Eagles.
What about you, Arthur? Don't wait before look.
He was a Falcons fan
Don't have
first.
me catch you
Then the
up.
Dallas won a championship, and he
Now
became
listen to you. You live in Atlanta
this.
talking about the Eagles. Oh my gosh,
I,
you go
I
from one bird to the next.
look.
Anyway,
I don't care about the Falcons one
anyway,
iota.
you flew south for the winter, the spring, the summer, and the fall. So
Mm-hmm.
So
so
what?
Hey,
So
but
have you always been?
I can say I'm from Philadelphia though. I bet you can't say you from
I
Dallas.
bet I can say I live.
Ah.
Now see how he got cut out because
Uh-huh.
see you were about to tell the tale.
Um,
God don't like ugly Arthur.
Yeah.
That's how you got cut out like that. So look,
and
listen.
lightning ain't striking down here either. So there you
Look,
go.
don't have us witness all that up on this
Mhm.
podcast, because then I'll be up on I'll be famous for a whole other reason. So tell us, have you always liked the one star team or what?
I mean, yes, I have always liked the one-star team because, we sit high above the NFC East and basically the whole league, really. But but honestly, when I first started liking the Dallas Cowboys, when I saw the cheerleaders, then I saw Tom Landry and how poised he was on the sidelines, and then they got Herschel Walker right after they had Tony Dorsett. And me being a UGA fan, that just sealed it. That just sealed it.
No, I don't believe that, but okay. Who which team which which
Just say they won a championship, and you watch the
that
parade, and you were
that was
happy
too
about
many
the parade.
that's just too many details. Like, and what had happened, and then we went around, we traveled uphill both ways. I mean, stop all that. I don't believe that.
Oh, come on.
I don't.
I can give you a whole lot of symbolism behind my liking them. But okay, go ahead.
Nah, I still don't believe all that. So Steve Q Michael says Steve Q Michael says hello. He's like a diehard Packers and Rogers fan. I mean, like a lifetime. I think he said he was going to move to New York to be with Aaron, something like that. But he tells every he
I
tells
mean,
everyone.
Oh,
Randall Cobb did it, so why not?
I mean, but he can look who getting paid or who not.
I
Hey,
mean, hey, hey.
so who
That's
which
all the
team
Jets
has
was
more
missing.
bandwagon fans? Do you think Cowboys or
Oh,
Eagles team has more bandwagon fans? So I see Chuck. We're gonna go with you, Arthur, then Rob.
oh, Dallas definitely has more bandwagon fans. They're still trying to get on the bandwagon from back in the 90s, and it just isn't much room because everybody jumped on it pretty much. But
But
Hmm.
broke down.
Not like the Raiders. Oh, so I'm sorry. Did I just say that out loud?
Look, I'd rather sit up here and have issues with the refs and going out than sitting up here and think my team every year, oh, we're going to the playoffs and look absolutely freaking ridiculous to the rest of
The
the entire
the
world
mhm.
because
the
we
LA
know
the LALV Oakland Raiders.
as soon as they come out your mouth, we already know y'all gonna look like a fool again. So I'm here for all that because hey, I've been a Raiders fan. We were 2-14. I'm gonna be a Raiders fan forever.
Okay, we were 1 and 15. in 1989. So okay,
Focus on your quarterback,
okay.
and we're going to get to in a little bit. Who has the most bandwagon fans? Is it Eagles fans or Cowboys fans? And tonight's show. So
Oh,
this is the difference
honestly,
between. Wait, before we get to that,
okay,
this is the difference between Raiders fans and Cowboys fans. When you're talking about Eagles and Cowboys, y'all still focus on us. We don't care about none of y'all. But who has the most bandwagon fans?
okay. I think it's pretty even. I mean, a lot of people like the royalty of the Dallas Cowboys,
The
but
what?
the royalty, the royalty, the
Oh,
royalty. I said it exactly the way that I wanted
it's
to
getting
say it,
deep in here.
exactly how I wanted to say it. Secondly, there are a lot of Eagles fans here in Atlanta, and that's because of Michael Vick. For some strange reason, people here believe that Michael Vick, even though he had transgressions here, didn't get a fair shake when he was let go. So once he joined the Eagles, oh, lo and behold, a lot of people from Atlanta became Eagles fans. So
So
it's
you
pretty
confusing
even.
me, but you confusing me because one minute you said Dallas and the next minute you said Eagles. So who
I
is it?
said even. I said evenly. I said
Evenly?
evenly.
Okay. What about
Yes.
you, Rob?
This is absolutely the easiest question ever. It's absolutely positively Dallas. Um, Most people associate the Cowboys from the 80s and 90s when they were winning. And a lot of the fans you find today were younger back then, and they were trying to they were getting accustomed to the NFL, and Dallas was winning then. So you have a lot of those fans never even been to Dallas, not even know nothing about the city of Dallas, but they Dallas fans because of the winning back in the 80s and 90s. And
Mm-hmm.
That's a general statement. I mean,
I mean,
there's
But
people
that's his
that.
answer. That's his answer though. You went through all this Michael Vick and all round the
yeah,
bend and back and forth. Let him have his answer. So we
He
have Phil
hasn't.
we
He
have Phil
hasn't.
join us. Hi Phil. I think you have something in the background because we have to mute it because we can't really hear you.
177. 177 is trim. One.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in the back. I have to tell him to mute whatever he has going in the background so he can join us. Yeah, to me, I kind of feel like that the Dallas Cowboys, I think Philadelphia has the most hardcore fans. Just from my personal experience, I think that the Cowboys have the most bandwagon fans. Only because they think it's cute to rock that little one star on the little, like they bow that, paraphernalia walking around like it's cute and stuff. See, Arthur got his little jersey on, flapping his chest like that. What are you doing? Let's see if Phil clean up his background.
You trying to
Hello,
tear it off
Phil.
and put an Eagle jersey on? I don't blame you.
Please, never, never, ever,
He's got
ever.
too much background in it, so we'll have to get to him. I have to tell him to mute his background. Would you say you prefer the offensive part of the game or the defensive part of the game the most? We'll go Arthur, Rob, and then Chuck.
What's the question again?
Do you feel like you like
I could
the
barely
offensive
hear
part,
you.
the offensive
Oh,
part of the game the best, or defensive part of the game the best?
offense.
Any reason why?
Consistency and cheers to fans. Because you can play great defense and still not score anything.
So offense. What about you, Chuck?
oh my.
Um, Man, I never really thought about it, but I don't see offense. Obviously, offense is more exciting to watch, more explosive. Um, you can make a 20, 30-yard run from a running back or a 40-yard uh, pass play from a receiver. Those are big things, but the way the league is ruled now, you can't have the big hits. What you would normally see on the highlights for defenses are the big hits. What was it? Tatum. What was his first name? He used to play for the Raiders. Jack
Jack
Tatum.
Tatum.
Taking heads off and stuff like that. I mean, can't do it anymore. You can't hardly touch a quarterback anymore, so you don't really see any defensive highlights. So in the league, and everybody's all about highlights these days. So I just think the defense, you're not going to see any highlights like you used to. So offense is probably more exciting.
What about you, Rob?
Yeah, I agree with Chuck. Offense, but if you'd asked me this maybe 20 years ago, I would have said defense. But the
Yeah.
league has changed so much. It's tailored to the offense. They want to see scoring. Offense is exciting. So now, if you put me to the fire, I'm saying offense.
Yeah.
Okay, so Steve says that Jerry Jones needs to leave and have someone else take control, which I agree with that. And he says when the Cowboys lose, the fans go crazy, which I'm here for all that, especially when they lost on Thanksgiving. So do you feel like that Jerry Jones, look at you, do you feel like Jerry Jones needs to let it go? Do you feel like Jerry Jones needs to sell? So we'll start with Arthur, then we'll go Rob, and then Chuck.
I'll say from the general manager point of view, he probably needs to step back a little bit. But as an owner, no. He's brought so much revenue and other things into the league that weren't there at all before he showed up. So you can't get rid of the patriarch of revenue sharing. So no.
What about you, Rob?
Yeah, I agree with Arthur on that one. I think maybe I think the intricacies of the league has passed them by. If you continue in the general manager role, they're never going to win. But I think he's a staple as far as ownership is concerned. So I don't think he should, go anywhere. He just probably should leave the general manager part alone. Obviously, it's not working for him.
Exactly. What about you, Chuck?
I hope he keeps doing what he's doing. Growing up the Cowboys year after year. I'm loving it.
Which of your teams is going to get to the Super Bowl first? Eagles or Cowboys? We'll go Chuck, Arthur, and then Rob.
What do you think I'm going to say, Priscilla?
Eagles.
Definitely the Eagles.
I
think we're poised to go back this year. No lie. We lost some great defensive players, but we had a hell of a draft. We got that Georgia dog defense now. Added a nice running back from Detroit. I mean, we got better this year. And look, we almost won the Super Bowl last year. We should have won the Super Bowl last year. But I'm not going to be like a Cowboy fan and go back. But I just did. But I won't do it anymore. But yeah, I think Jalen Hurts maturing and just his leadership, and bringing in a guy like Jalen Carter. Yeah, he has some off the field issues, but he's going to be in a locker room full of some great folks, some real leadership in there. And I can't wait for the season to get started.
What about you, Arthur?
Well, I hate to not be biased on this answer, but the Cowboys.
Why? Why do you feel like it's going to be you guys?
Well, the defense is solidified. The offense is more catered to being physical now. There's no more Kellen Moore spread offense, throw the ball on first, second, and third down. That should limit the interceptions from Dakota Rain Prescott. And I don't see Philadelphia getting as far as they did last year.
But that sounds like a hater because right now you're supposed to be telling us why you feel like your team.
And I let you know. The road to the Super Bowl goes through Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Dallas is going to go through those roads.
But are they going to be driving like a Ferrari, or are they going to be on the broke down bus on the side of the road? So
are we coming in like a Bradley tank?
Oh yeah, right. What about you, Rob?
It's hard not to be biased, but I'm with Chuck. I mean, I hear people talk about the minor pieces we lost. They don't really know the intricacies of the Eagles team because we didn't lose. Javon Hargrave is the only major piece that we really lost that I think would be tough to replace. But then we go and replace him with probably the most talented player in the whole draft.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So do you feel like you feel like you guys did better in the draft? Then did you feel like you replaced the pieces that you feel like were missing, or what do you feel like you're missing? We're gonna go with Arthur,
I'm
Chuck, and
sorry.
then. I'm sorry. Did you hear what I asked?
No, my internet is going in and out.
That's okay. I was asking, do you feel like with the draft that you took care of the any issues from the previous season and replaced players that you need to replace?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Javon Hargrave, like I said, was the biggest piece we probably lost, and I think we replaced him with a way more talented player in Jalen Carter. We lost Miles Sanders, but DeAndre Swift brings more to the table than what Miles Sanders does because he's a much better pass receiver. I think us getting the receiver from Atlanta is going to help out a lot in the slot. We can put Quez Watkins back out on the wing. I think we just got much better this offseason. And Jalen Hurts
Okay,
is going to be another a year better.
exactly. Kenneth says, "What's up to Robert?"
My
And then
man.
Steve, before Chuck, before when you were talking, Steve said, "Good point." Arthur, what about you? Do you feel like you addressed the needs in the draft?
Yes, especially the first 3 rounds of it. We got a massive defensive tackle versus normally our smaller defensive tackles that can actually take on 2 blockers against run and pass rush. We got a tight end that seems a little bit more durable than the tight end that we lost to the Texans. You know, he can run block and he can pass catch. And in the 3rd round, we got a linebacker that basically can spell Leighton Vander Esch or Damone Cook and play both positions. So our first 3 rounds, we hit the nail on the head. And I'm just waiting for free agency to see who we're going to replace Zeke with.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like Zeke should have went 2 seasons ago, but I know with Pollard been out, I think that's what kind of kept him there. So that's going to be interesting to see because I heard you guys are trying to re-sign him, maybe restructure his deal. We'll see how that goes. But let's talk about quarterbacks because we know the offense is going to go through the quarterback. Which quarterback would you rather have? Would you rather? And you got to be honest, Arthur.
I
Okay,
am being honest.
okay. Would you rather? Would you rather have Dak or would you rather have Hurts? We're gonna go with Rob, Arthur, and then Chuck.
Yeah. There are multiple reasons I'd rather have Jalen Hurts. You I mean, he's an incredible worker. I mean, he is going to reach his whatever his ceiling is. He's going to reach it. He's in his 3rd year and was second in MVP voting. He is not a turnover machine. Dak Prescott is a turnover machine. It's not just last year. I mean, that's
Just
pretty
in
much
general.
in general. That's been pretty much his history. And he has never really Dak has never really won a game that's pivotal or necessary for them to reach the highest of heights. So that's an easy one for me. It would be Jalen Hurts.
What about you, Arthur?
Dak Prescott.
Why?
Well, one, he's a great leader. Two, he's a better passer. He's not a better rusher, but we all know that Jalen Hurts is a running back that throws the ball every
He
now and
ran
then.
right into the Super Bowl though, too, right? But go
And
ahead.
he fumbled that ball right into the Super Bowl too. So go
But at
right
least
ahead.
he was there. Doc was
Oh,
wishing
he
he was
was
there.
there. Wow. He was there actually. He won like the Walter Payton Man of the Year
And
award.
and
But
got booed for that. But
See,
go ahead.
and that's the
and
only
then
way he gonna
Philadelphia
get there.
and then Philadelphia ended up losing the game. So yeah, karma.
Yeah, we'll talk
But
about that in a minute. But so why
but
do you feel now let me ask you this. And I actually follow Dak, but do you really feel like the Dak is that guy to get you to the Super Bowl?
yes,
Okay. You heard it here first.
and win it. Let's not say just get there and win it.
I'm gonna have you checked after this. Go ahead, Chuck.
I got good doctors. Go ahead.
Definitely Jalen Hurts. leadership, the heart of a champion, just the fact that he's been further in his couple of years than Dak's been in however many years he's been in the playoffs. Has Dak been in the NFC Championship? I don't think so.
Crickets.
Super Bowl, of course not. Jalen has got that experience. He
Got
got
that
that desire, that hunger. He wants to get back. He's going to
Got
get
that
back.
30-yard Hail
Quite
Mary.
a few times. What's that?
Got that 30-yard Hail Mary too. That was nice.
He ain't lead the league in interceptions in half the games. He didn't do that.
Oh, that 4th and 30 thing. Okay, well,
Yeah,
Not-
because
not-
I mean, I
happened,
get that
but
people. I get that
that don't
people
win no
talk about a
championships,
fumble
does
for
it?
Not the
hurt.
4th and 30, the 30-yard Hail Mary at the end of the game.
Yeah, but didn't you guys try to do that in Thanksgiving game? Didn't your quarterback try to do the exact same thing when you guys played us in the Thanksgiving game? Try to do a Hail Mary to do whatever, and you still lost.
Then initially you said it wasn't going to be about the Raiders. It was going to be the Eagles and the
This is about your
Cowboys.
quarterback. I didn't say anything about my Raiders players. I asked you what your quarterback did.
Who played 11 games and led the league in interceptions? Is my question. That's we don't.
I mean, he lost the first 5 with a broken thumb, so it's okay. It's all good.
Now we got this.
It's all good. It's all good.
We got this.
It's all good.
Let's look at the roster though, because when we really look at the roster, you guys, the Dallas Cowboys, which I always say, they're going to bring in players. I feel like they're like Dak is LeBron, and they're bringing all these players in. I mean, if we're going to make a comparison, like Dak is LeBron, and we got to be calling in. We got to be calling in J.R. Smith, and we got to be calling in Kyrie Irving. We got to call in all these players just to get them on the board. But then when we look at Hurts, I mean, yeah, they had a nice, offensive weapons and things like that. But when you look at the level and how it was stacked, it's too different.
On a podcast.
So I'm really curious as to see if you feel like that they're actually going to take you to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's why I asked that. And let's talk about the past Super Bowl. Do you feel like that the refs, because we have to discuss this, do you really feel like that the refs were contributed to, let's put it like this, do you feel like the refs contributed to the outcome of the past Super Bowl? Do you feel like they influenced the game more than what they should have influenced the game? So we'll go with Arthur first because I see his face all twisted up. You know, he's a little haterade. So we're going to go Arthur, Chuck, and then Robert. So you keep going out when you ask those tough questions, right? He be flaking out.
Okay. Let's be real. If it weren't for the refs overturning that fumble return for a touchdown, that game would have been a blowout. Point blank, period.
Overturning.
So what you're saying is that
when you're
the KC should have won by more points than what they won.
Yes. I'm telling him the one that was overturned when the wide receiver caught the ball. He caught the ball and made an offensive move and got licked, and Bolton ran in for another touchdown, just like he did with Hurts fumble.
This is why I was hesitant to get on here with Dallas Cowboy fans, because it's not going to be. It's going to be a joke because it's no legitimacy to what they say.
And there's a legitimacy to what I just said. I mean, if you believe that the Go ahead.
This is the thing. So you said the basically should have been a blowout. So now we're gonna let Rob and we're gonna let Chuck give their answers, and I'm gonna give my response to that because I'm all for giving people their voice and things like that. But it is nice when we have open conversations about the real. So go ahead, Rob.
I would say overall, no, I don't think the refs impacted that game in a negative. I think that last play, they hadn't called the holding call all game, and you call the last one on the last play. I thought was an awful call, but overall, I don't think they impacted the game. No.
What about you, Chuck?
I agree with Rob with what Rob just said. I think the officiating throughout the game was, a little off here and there, but I think it went both ways. That last play, that pass, that holding, I mean, I know our defender said that, he did hold the guy's jersey for a second, but they weren't calling that all day.
Right. Right.
They do that all the time. And I'm not saying we would have won the game, but wouldn't it have been nice to see the Eagles and Jalen Hurts have a chance to get the ball back and drive down the field? I think everybody watching the game would have loved that. I think that ref screwed up.
Right.
Right. And see, for me, I'm going to disagree with all y'all. I feel like that the refs, probably for the past 2 years, have been trying to really push that Mahomes is the next Tom Brady. And I do feel like that. I mean, like I always say, I've never in the history of watching football seen them help a player up. They don't even help Brady up, but they're helping Mahomes up, dust him off and stuff like that. If his teammates don't come and help him up, and he can't get up by himself, he's gonna stay there to the next game because it's not their responsibility to help him up. So I do feel like it was biased. I did see it was makeup. I do feel like there was makeup calls. So I disagree with a lot of calls that they made, and I do not feel like that the Chiefs are a better team. And I do feel like that you can laugh all you want. I'll call the NFL up and tell them that, because for one thing about me, it doesn't matter if I'm a Raiders fan or who's fan. I'm gonna tell it how it is, because I don't have any of this. If someone beat the Raiders team, I may say, well, I don't agree with this, but yeah, they beat us. But that's just me. And anyone that knows anything about football, you cannot tell me that Hurts did not deserve that MVP. It should not be because they won the Super Bowl. What?
He lost the game.
But that's not what the MVP is supposed to be about.
The most valuable player is the player that helped the team win.
You make your comment. So what you're telling me is the MVP is a player who wins one game versus a player who won 17 games or 8 games or 9 games to get his team there to get in that big game. You're telling me that one game is more important than all those games. And that's
Wait a minute.
not what the MVP is supposed to be about.
Let me say this. Mahomes played 17 games last year. Hurts did not. Mahomes won the regular season MVP. Actually, if you're not going to give the MVP to Mahomes in the Super Bowl, then you best give it to Kadarius Toney or Bolton. Anybody else that basically...
We're going to cut it off at that because we're going to get into the rivalry. I think you need to look up what an MVP means. Because he did not play. Listen, he did not play the entire season, and it's about the player that makes the most impact on their team. Mahomes, he had all these different players. Hurts didn't have that. So we're gonna look at that at another time.
Okay.
I'm gonna break some KC fans back, and we're gonna talk about MVP and stuff like that, because I have no problem discussing things with people. But if we're gonna discuss it, let's just not be biased, because it's not your team on prime time. Your team is sitting at home watching coulda, woulda, been, shoulda, but your quarterback has turnovers. So that's two different things.
Cowboys fans
second place doesn't win MVP.
Well, he should have won, and I'm not the only person
place
saying
doesn't win
that.
MVP.
And I'm not the only. Well, It wasn't Dak. He didn't have a chance.
It wasn't Hurts either.
Tony said
you had a better chance than that.
Exactly. Mickey Mouse had a better chance than Dak.
The interception was for the season.
I mean, we can talk about Jalen Hurts all day. He didn't win MVP. He didn't win the Super Bowl. He didn't win.
He's the better quarterback between the two, and anybody in their right mind knows that.
He's a better running quarterback between the two, but it's okay.
No, he's a better quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't care.
He's a better running quarterback.
You differentiate it. You can
differentiate
it however you
he's the new Lamar Jackson. He's the new Lamar Jackson.
I feel like Arthur. I feel like you're reaching a little bit stretching with. I feel like I kind of feel like a little bit. I'm just being real. I kind of feel like it's a little bit animosity, maybe a little bit jealousy. You agree with me?
Nah. I mean, animosity because he's an Alabama quarterback. So hey,
how can you say Dak Prescott is a better passing quarterback when he led the league in interceptions?
That's a good question, Chuck.
Yeah, how can you say he's a better passing quarterback than Hurts? Did Hurts lead the league in interceptions? No. Was he close?
I mean,
no.
would you like to see their stats in the first 3 years of their careers? Would you like to go to their stats in the first 3 years of their careers? Let's do it.
See, why you always got to
Let's
go in
do it. Let's
reverse?
do it.
Okay,
Let's
We were
do
talking
it.
about it
Let's
last
do
year.
wait
it.
a minute,
Let's
Arthur.
let's
Wait a
do
minute,
it. Let's do it. Let's
Arthur. When
do
you're
it.
talking about the first 3 years, that's not going to help you right now. That's not helping you
I
right
mean,
now.
I mean,
Typical Cowboy
I
MO.
mean, my
Okay, so
team was
let's
12-5. His
We
team
won
was
3
what?
so
championships
What?
you keep your
overnight.
14-3.
quarterback, Arthur. You keep your little quarterback. We know you're happy with your quarterback, and you're gonna be so happy with your
I
quarterback
mean,
on the
I
side.
mean, it's
Hey,
fine. It's fine. I stand by him.
okay,
Exactly.
Typical
excuse
Cowboy
Interceptions and
me,
all.
response.
excuse
Interceptions and all.
You're going to keep your quarterback. That's it. We're going to sit and watch you at the end of postseason to see if you keep your quarterback. Because I'm going to run this. I will promote this podcast for infinity at the end of the season when you guys are not in the playoffs or you're one and done and two and out because you want to keep your quarterback. So we're going to leave this here. I may keep this pinned to the group forever. So Tony
I
says,
mean,
wait
go
a
right
minute, wait.
ahead.
Tony says that in Dak's defense, um, a ton of quarterbacks would have looked awful on the road in Frisco because the defense in their building is no joke. I think he's gonna look ridiculous
Well,
regardless.
Jalen Hurts didn't look ridiculous.
Tony
I
would
mean,
say,
y'all played in Philadelphia.
Oh.
but
So
is
so
isn't
they
it the same?
defense is different
It's
in
not the
Philadelphia?
same defense,
Same
Arthur.
defense.
Is
You
it
saying
not
they
the same
defense is different?
defense if they're playing in Philadelphia
Oh,
or San
that's
Francisco?
right. That's right. Same defense that gave up 40 to Dak Prescott. That's right. I apologize.
So
I
now you're
apologize.
reversing it.
I
Now
so
you're reversing it
apologize
because
for
you.
that.
So
I
now reverse.
apologize for that.
See, Arthur. Now you look a little bit suspect.
Hey,
You look a little bit suspect
Arthur,
because one
I
minute,
I
apologize.
believe I can speak for Chuck on this one. We like Dak being y'all quarterback.
I
We're good
like
with
it
that.
too.
I
So
like
let's talk
Hurts.
about the
I like
We're
Hurts
rivalry.
good.
too.
No, you
Yeah,
don't.
Let's
You
talk
don't.
yeah,
about the
yeah.
rivalry. Now I can
You
see it
don't.
right now because I feel
You
like
don't.
that when I'm asking questions, I feel like that certain Cowboys fans, and we're only really talking to Arthur tonight. I mean, so we know who I'm talking about, but I'm saying I'm saying that certain Cowboys seem to have alternative facts or watching different games than the rest of us. And we're used to it because we know how certain ones are. So we're going to let them live in their alternative reality that always has this being their year. We get it. Hey, it's put on full display. You see what I'm
and
saying? So let's
and I
talk about the
asked
rivalry.
once. Go
Let's talk
ahead.
about the rivalry.
Go ahead.
Why do you feel like there's a rivalry? Do you feel like it's a rivalry because we're dealing with stuff like this? Or because why? Why do you feel like this whole rivalry started between the Cowboys and Eagles fans? To me, from the outside looking in, I know what it is. I see because I'm looking at Arthur and I'm listening to his comments, so I see what it is. But that's just me assuming. You guys tell me because you guys are Eagles fans, so we're going to go Chuck, Rob, and then we're going to go Arthur.
Repeat the question. I lost you a little bit there.
Why do you feel like there's a rivalry between like Cowboys fans and Eagles fans? Do you feel like because they live in an alternate universe when it comes to talking about
Oh
games,
yeah.
or you feel like that's what it is, or what?
I don't think it's much of a rivalry. I mean, they're just disillusional people, and
Ooh,
we
boy.
and us Philadelphia fans,
We're logical. Okay.
we're very logical. We know who we are, what we are, and when we
Yeah.
are. We're not living in the past, and
Hmm.
so they can talk and break their Emmitt Smith jerseys out and stuff like that. When after they win 3 games in a row to start the season, all of a sudden coming out of the woodwork, man, it's Cowboy fans,
Well,
Right.
we don't
Jason
see those
Witten
shady
t-shirts and
McCord.
stuff
We
like
don't
that.
see those shady McCords.
But
So
we gotta let him have his point,
I
Arthur.
don't
I
think it's a
hear it.
rivalry.
I hear it. I hear it.
What about you? What about you, Rob?
Um, I think a lot of what Chuck said is accurate. I think that we're in the same division. That's first gonna make it heated in a rivalry. I believe that Philly fans are extremely passionate, and we hate cornball fakes. And a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans are bandwagon fans. Most of them never even stepped foot in Dallas. Like I said at the beginning of this cast, most of them never stepped foot in Dallas, and they acquired their fanship for lame reasons. Most Philadelphia fans come from the area and they just love their team. So, and I think that kind of pricks us when we see the bandwagon fans that Dallas are, and it makes it a heated rivalry.
Well said. Well
What
said.
about you, Arthur?
Well, it's only a rivalry because they want it to be a rivalry so bad. There really isn't a rivalry besides being in the NFC East.
Wait a minute, who is they?
70
The Cowboys fans or Eagles?
No, the Eagles fans. They want to be where Dallas is so bad that they want to basically
Government
conjure
relic.
up.
Okay, wait.
We don't
I
want to spend
let you
28
I
years.
let you speak.
Let
I
him
let you
finish. But
speak.
I have a
I'm,
question. I
I'm
have a question. I have a
My
question, real
apologies.
quick,
no, I'm not
Arthur.
done. I'm not done. I'm not done yet with
What
what
you
I'm
what
I,
what
saying.
what you're
mute your
saying is
mic. I'll mute
delusional.
your mic. I'll
I'm
mute your
saying,
mic. You don't tell me when you're
uh,
done. But go ahead.
I mean, come on now. Come on now. Now you're not letting me speak.
No, I'm
But
letting you speak, but I had a question that
okay,
what you were going on. But go
okay,
ahead.
okay. Like I was saying, they want to matriculate a rivalry between us to the point where the city of Philadelphia has what is called Dallas Cowboys Hate Week. I've lived in Dallas before. Lived there for like 5 years.
Why he be freezing up when he be coming to certain points?
Yeah, of
You always
course.
freeze up on certain points. Go ahead.
Of course. But yeah, that's all I have to say. It's not really a rivalry besides
But
being in the NFC East.
so my question is because you said in your words that because Eagles fans want to be where Dallas fans are. Now I'm confused because I thought I thought. I mean, I might be, you know what I'm saying? I might be confused. Maybe I'm seeing something that's not there, but I could have sworn that when I watched the Super Bowl last year, I saw Eagles and not the Cowboys. So where so
I
where
mean,
did
you really want to be honest with what you're asking?
no, I'm asking.
Because
Well, I'm asking you a question because you said it. I'm just
oh no,
asking you to clarify.
That's a
I'm
very
going
good
to say
question.
I'm going to answer the question
You
just
don't
the
know
way
what the
that you
question is
asked
because you
it.
interrupted me. You don't know what the question is because you interrupted me. So my
I'm,
question is, I saw the Eagles there and not the Cowboys. So where is it that the Cowboys fans feel like that the Eagles fans are trying to be?
they're
Because
trying to
they were on
be
prime time when I saw them.
multi-time champions as we are.
Oh my goodness. Here we
And
go.
Were.
I've been in your group.
Right.
I've been in your group, and I've been in other groups that discuss the NFC East.
Hey,
And all they
when the
keep
last time
talking
they
of,
won a championship?
and all they keep talking about is these NFL championships that they
You got
won
it on
Okay, but
VHS.
this is the thing,
in
Arthur.
the
This is
40s and
this is me.
50s.
My group is completely different than all these other groups. But one, I don't have time for all that nonsense and all that. We're trying to have real conversations about reality, not alternative facts and different things like that. I get that if you're saying that they're trying to be, multi champions and whatnot, but that has nothing to do with these other groups. It has nothing to do with that. So I'm asking a question so you feel what you're saying is that the Eagles fans would like to have more championships and be like the Cowboys.
They like to have more championships. They like to have more notoriety. They like to have more fan base, regardless of if it's bandwagon or from the city. They like to have it all, and they aspire to be Dallas.
Now I don't see all that, but I'm gonna let these two respond. I don't see that because I feel like the Eagles have more like if I'm gonna say I don't want to say legit, but I feel like the Eagles fan base have more of the real fans. I like real fans when you're talking about sports. Bandwagon is somebody that's gonna look cute and whatever. They don't really care. They could be Dallas today, whoever tomorrow. That's not you can't really count them as like a true fan base. It's just somebody that likes the sport. But we'll let Rob and Chuck respond to what you were saying. Do you let me ask the question. Do you guys are you jealous? Are you jealous over Are you jelly over the Dallas Cowboys having more bandwagon fans?
Oh gosh.
So
More,
so
you said that.
Oh,
That's what you said. More bandwagon fans, more championships, the notoriety that because you're walking around with your little 1-star gear on. Is that what you guys are trying to do with your life?
like like I I couldn't even conceptualize being jealous of or wanting to be a Dallas Cowboy. Like they haven't been relevant since the early '90s. Yeah,
Right.
oh, what kind
big
of relevancy winning
Excuse me, Arthur.
championships?
Arthur, we
man.
Come
let
on
you
now.
say, just like
Come
you
on
said,
now.
let you
You
talk. You're gonna let him
you
do his
guys
thing. Go ahead.
haven't been you won 3 playoff games in the last 28 years. Why would I aspire to be that? Why would we aspire to be 3 playoff wins in 28 years? Why would I want that?
Okay, so wait a minute, Arthur. You're gonna wait. You're gonna wait because now it's Chuck.
I can't top what Rob just said. I mean, who wants to be? I have no aspiration to be a Cowboy look-alike. I mean, like you said, 3 playoff wins in how many years?
28 years.
Good
So,
Lord.
so that's a long time. So let's get to Maya Marie because Maya Marie feels like I'm a hater. Maya Marie, please look up the definition of hater because someone who simply states the facts and asks the questions because I repeated exactly what he said because he said bandwagon fans. He said it. I can do a rewind, go back and listen to this one on that page. I asked the exact same question that he asked. As been a hater, I could care less about the Dallas Cowboys because we already beating them when we look at the overall. My personal team is already beating them when we meet up. So all these little ranks that they think they had, if they played us, they would not have those. That's number one. The refs tried to give them the game on Thanksgiving Day several times. They could not do it. And I listened to them before that game for months and months and months telling me what their team was going to do. And guess what they did? They choked on that turkey on Thanksgiving and their stuffing. They went home hungry because we basically made them look ridiculous on prime time. Those are facts. And in my Coach Carter voice, those are some stats for your now. Moving on.
Oh
Now let's get to
Glad you
that.
got
goodness.
that off your chest, Priscilla.
I
No,
know.
because
Oh,
I'm saying,
oh,
I'm just answering the question that he said.
oh.
Now let's get to. They said how many playoff wins in the last so many years? How many? Rob, you said it. 3,
Yeah, it's
2.
been 3 and 26. 3 and 26.
3 playoff wins in 26. So, how many playoff wins? Because we talked about your quarterback and that you rather have that quarterback. So, let's talk about your quarterback, and you feel like he's going to get you to the Super Bowl. How many has he won?
Oh, Dak is one too.
Are you sure?
Yeah, He's won 2 playoff games. One
And
at
how many
home against
years?
Seattle. He's been in the league 7 years. This year will be 8.
Okay, so I just want to have all this. This is laying foundation. So we're
I
gonna
was
have you
laying
guys come
foundation
back.
for yeah.
No, because I'm
Anyway,
gonna have you guys come back. I know Phil had mic issues, so he wasn't able to join us. So I'm gonna have you guys come back at a later date, and these things are gonna be brought up again as to how many playoff games. Because I just want to state it for the record that you feel like in 7 years your quarterback has won 2 playoff games and he's gonna get you to the Super Bowl. I don't know how, but I'm glad that you believe that. So any other reason?
Oh,
Any other
they'll
reason
all
you feel
be.
like there's a rivalry?
I think all the Cowboys being the Super Bowl is to be at the Super Bowl because from what I hear, Jerry's buying everybody tickets to go. So
You hear that, Arthur?
I got to go, y'all.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks
So
for
so do
everything, and
I.
long live Jerry Jones and go
So do
Birds.
I.
Thanks
So
for
do I,
joining us,
guys.
Chuck. I'll
All
talk to you
right.
soon.
Thanks, y'all.
I have to go too. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh,
All right, so guys, Rob has to go, Chuck had to go. We had to cut this short, so I'm gonna have them
My
come back.
apologies.
That's okay,
no
no problem.
problem.
Because we had Phil that could not join us as well. He had mic issues or background issues to where he couldn't join us. So I'm gonna have these guys come back at a later date so we
Looking
can
forward to
discuss
it.
it in more detail. We're gonna pick up. You all right?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I like
I'm
messing with
laughing.
him, as you guys can see. We're gonna pick up where we left off. We're gonna definitely talk into more details. So I invite these guys back to come back on. Rob has to go, so I'm gonna give Arthur a chance because we didn't give him a chance to respond to you, Rob. Thank you for joining us. I know you said you
Okay.
have to go.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll catch you on next time, but I do want to give him a chance to respond to the playoffs and things like that because that's only fair, and I do like to be fair on the show. So
Thank
I'm
you
going to
so
give him a
much.
chance to respond to that, and we'll definitely have you back at another time.
Looking forward to it. Nice to meet you, Arthur.
All right,
Nice to
you
meet you
too.
too, sir.
Have a good night.
You too.
So you guys, we're here with Arthur. It's Pris and Arthur. I want to give him a chance to respond because we talked about. I made a comment about the playoffs because we do know that Dak has been there 7 years and he's only won a couple of games. So Arthur, how do you feel about that? Or is there anything because they're not here and like I said, we'll have them come back on another time. But is there anything that you didn't get a chance to address? Because usually at the end of the show, I give you guys a chance to talk and address other issues. What didn't you get a chance to say or address when they were on? And then we'll bring it up again next time.
Um, I don't think there was really much that we did not address. I mean, I feel personally that my quarterback is poised to make a real run at the Super Bowl.
With the current roster that you guys have without Zeke, or do you feel like you guys are going to replace him? Or
I mean, if they're moving towards Tony Pollard getting more touches and this kid from Kansas State getting more touches, then all we need is a power back in short yardage and goal line situations, whether that be Zeke or whether that be someone else in free agency like Fournette. I don't see them getting Derrick Henry, but I see that happening in the future.
I'm gonna tell you one. I mean, when you guys got Lamb, I mean, you guys are right before us. I love CD and I do love Pollard. I think they're like phenomenal players. So I do like that Pollard is healthy now because you know for yourself, it's got to go through Lamb and Pollard. I mean, Dak too, but I think those are two key players for you guys. Plus, you've added some other players, so I think the future looks bright. I don't personally feel like that Dak is the quarterback that's going to get you there. He may surprise me, but I feel like that he's more comfortable in situations to where, I mean, he likes Zeke, he's really comfortable with Zeke and, they did well together. But if he's not comfortable with the offensive weapon, he's not going to get them the ball because I look at like Lamb. I feel like Lamb was underutilized. I do feel like that Lamb should have had way more yardage. I mean, when I look at Jefferson, Adams, and Lamb, I feel like that Lamb and even Adams on the Raiders were underutilized. I do feel like they could have had more yardage, but he didn't get the ball a lot. Do you feel like the Lamb can be more of a focal point for you guys, or does it just depend?
I think with him, it still has to spread out because he doesn't have that top end speed like Jefferson and like Adams and even Cooper Cup. Like
Yeah,
he's
Cooper's
very,
beast.
yes, because he has like all elements together. He's a great route runner. He has perfect hands, and they move him everywhere around the field. Now, if they can utilize Lamb, like moving him around the field to take advantage of matchups, then yeah, he can get those stats like Jefferson and like Adams. I believe Adams had a pretty good season too. It just wasn't with Green Bay. But I mean, yeah,
Well, I didn't like that. I feel like that Adams. I mean, there were whole quarters, which we've talked about this before. You guys, if you're just joining us, this is Pris Wood, National Football Lovers on Facebook. This is what Arthur and I do. We argue, but it's fun. This is just what we do. You guys think we're serious, but this is just what we do. But as we discussed on previous podcasts, I do feel like that Adams. There were whole quarters that he didn't even touch the ball. There were whole 5 and 6 minutes to where the ball did not even touch his hands, and he still had 1,500 yards. But I feel like that had we have gotten him open more, I feel like we could have spread the field more, made it easier on Jacobs even to have an even better year and not get those hard runs. A running back's career is not that long anyway. So if you're going to have runs, why does it all have to be hard? I get close games, but if it doesn't have to be, why let it be that? It's just no point.
Well, I'm gonna kind of add on to that. Try to use an NBA analogy. Like when superstars have big games, they usually have big first quarters and big fourth quarters, where they're not toting the load in the second and the third quarter. It's basically to set the tone and to finish it off. So if you're gonna give Adams or Cup or CD those type of yardage games, it's basically going to come down like that. It's going to be first quarter, we're focusing on getting him the ball, getting him touches, getting him targets. And in the fourth quarter, when it's crunch time and it's time to win. So that's just the way I see it. I know that Jefferson had big games, and then some games he only had two catches for like 16, 17 yards. So, I mean, it all depends upon how defenses are playing you and also what the game plan is
Yeah, but
week to
for
week.
us, I think for us it was a little bit different though, because when Adams did not touch the ball, those were the quarters that we went scoreless. Or we didn't score enough points. So I think it depends upon what the team needs. So like if for some reason, we're behind and we need to catch up, you can't be waiting to the fourth quarter, into the fourth to try to get yards. You have to try to get those points up so that way it's not so hard on the rest of the players in the fourth. So I just feel like for us it was more so play calling versus, oh well how the teams are playing us. I feel like we call plays according to what I don't know. I can't even make up reasons for why our head coach did half the stuff he did. I'm just like
Well, I can give reasons for why we were the way we were. One, first 5 weeks, starting quarterback really wasn't playing at all. He played 3 quarters of the first game and then was out for 4 games. Secondly, our number two wide receiver was basically playing and healing off of a torn ACL. So he was not himself. And then our third string or our third wide receiver was basically our fifth wide receiver, special teams guy that pretty much had a decent year, but the third rounder that we got in the draft did not do anything. He was expected to plug and play because that's pretty much how the NFL is. The first 3 rounds of the draft, those are players that are supposed to be impact players for your team, and he barely stayed on the roster. So,
yeah, but there's so many players that were drafted like fifth round and up that are like phenomenal players in the league. So I get that supposedly according to the NFL, these are players that are going to make impact. But I think people discount, the rest of the rounds. And there's been some good pickups across the league for players that are, fourth and fifth. And I mean, just phenomenal players. The good thing was this past draft. I mean, it was really stacked. You really, in my personal opinion, I don't really feel like there was a bad player to get. The only question was, is it the best player for your team? Like, is he going to fit into what you're trying to build or what you already have built? I think that was a difference in the draft, whereas other years is like, you had to be picking and choosing. But this past draft, and I think a lot of the ones coming forward, I mean, it was like really stacked. It was a lot of good players, a lot of good players. So, but I'm gonna have you come back and talk to the Eagles guys. We were just getting it good. Look, Arthur looked like he's falling asleep because he has, problems, I guess. Arthur, he has reception problems with his internet. So we're gonna wrap it up early tonight. Normally we would be on for like another extra half hour or so, but we had the Eagles fans that left early. They had something that had come up, and the other Dallas fan was not able to get signed in tonight, or he signed in, but he had some background noise that wherever he was at, we weren't able to hear him. So I'm going to have these guys come back again probably in another couple of weeks. I'll advertise it in advance so you can come back and we're going to pick right back up where we left off. Arthur, tell everyone how to find you on Facebook, and then we'll wrap up the show.
all right, you can always find me under my name, Arthur Tyrone Gay. That's Arthur Tyrone Gay on Facebook.
Perfect. You guys, you can go to the No Ordinary Huddle page and watch the podcast again. It's actually posted on YouTube, No Ordinary Huddle. You can find anyone on in my Facebook group, National Football Lovers. Send us an invite, join us. We have these discussions all the time in the group, and we definitely looking forward to talking to you again soon. Have a good night.
All right. Good night, everybody.
All right, bye.
Bye bye.